Eres mi amor mayor que me cautivó.
Hi guys, how's it going? Louis Sanchez here. And I just wanted to share a little bit on learning how to have intimacy with Jesus. And so a lot of times in my sharing, I do well by sharing my own experiences because that's where it happens at a personal level. And that's where it becomes a living reality for your life. And so a lot of the times, in learning how to have intimacy with Christ, it takes us and Him. It's two people. It's two people like going into the room, And so everything is birthed out of intimacy. When a man and when a woman come together, and have intimacy, there's a birthing process that takes place. Well, same thing in our lives with Jesus, without the human connection there, there's spiritual birthing that takes place in our life. But I know, like for me, my whole life changed. My whole life changed when I got tired of the status quo. My whole life changed when I started to question, and I started to question myself. I started to ask questions unto God. At the time, I didn't really do that, but there was a hunger, there was a wooing going inside of me, that He was bringing me into this place of intimacy. I knew Jesus. I knew Him out of the Bible. I knew Him through words, through ink and paper, but I didn't know His heart. I didn't know Him. And kind of like, for example, you may know me, but do you know how old I am? Do you know my favorite foods? Do you know what I like to do for sports? What my favorite color is? You see, there's a depth of knowing somebody. You see, and so I didn't know that because I hadn't walked into that arena. I was very mechanical, and I think my foundation was built on. I know it was built on theology and doctrine, and through my season of learning of intimacy, it changed. It changed from being from theology to doctrine to relationship and intimacy. And so through that progression, my whole life changed. But just real quick here, intentionally, I said to myself, there's got to be more. There's got to be more than what I'm doing week after week. And, I'm seeing awesome things, God's moving, God's touching us, God loves us, but I knew there was more. And so, I said, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow intentionally at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm gonna make a pot of coffee, and I'm gonna intentionally wake up and at 4 and drink a couple cups of coffee, and I'm gonna go into my prayer room, okay? I'm gonna go into a place where it's quiet, and I'm not coming out. I'm not coming out until something happens. That's how hungry I was. And teachings couldn't take me to that place. Reading about things couldn't take me to that place. Only Jesus took me to that place. There was a wooing in my heart. There was a massaging of my heart where God was trying to position me in a place where He could romance my heart and teach me about intimacy, teach me how to hear His voice. And that's where it started for me. And I'll never forget, I went into my prayer room, and, I busted out with 20 minutes worth of prayers, busted out in tongues. I did everything that seemed right according to the books. I did everything that seemed right according to the list of things to do. And, that took about 20 minutes, and I was already tired. I was already like, I didn't know how to wait. I didn't know how to wait for God. It's almost like talking to somebody on the phone, You say a few words, and then they say a few words. You say a few words, and then they say a few words. So it's learning to get dialogue. And I didn't have that. All I knew was monologue. And so He was gently teaching me. And so there's a lot more that took place, but on this particular day, what changed my life forever and had set me on the journey of following Jesus was that After 20 minutes, I was getting ready to leave. And I said, no, Lord, I promised I'd stay here. And what broke it for me is I just sat in a chair, man. I just sat in a chair. I was done with myself. And I heard in my spirit, okay, are you done yet? Are you done yet now so that I can speak to you? And so I sat in my chair. First hour came, nothing, really. Second hour, nothing. Third hour, nothing. And you know what? I was staring at the walls. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what that arena looked for, but I knew that there was more. And I had to find out for myself. I could not rely on somebody to take me there. I could not rely on somebody to preach me there. I had to find out for myself. I had to have this encounter, all right? And into the fourth hour of just sitting in the chair, staring at the carpet, staring at the walls, looking for God, not knowing what was going to happen, not knowing what that picture looked like. But I was so hungry, man. I was so hungry. And into the fourth hour, God presented himself, Jesus presented himself to me in a way that was supernatural, that led me on my journey that I am today. And it was like if somebody just took a fresh loaf of bread, man, just took a fresh loaf of bread and just stuck it right there, right in front of your nose. And it's so hot and it's so fresh and it's bread, it's so real. And I said, what is my wife doing up so early? What's she doing up making bread, man? She never makes bread. But that's how real God is. And so I opened the door, I peek out, and everything's still, more or less dark. And I'm like, wow, man. I was like, God, yes, Lord, yes, And at the time, I didn't realize how powerful it was. I mean, it was powerful, but I didn't realize that there was so much prophetic in that until even a couple years after. Until walking through this. But Jesus says, I am the bread of life. I am the bread of life. And when he showed me this, I was like, wow. But you know what? That encounter has led me on my journey of following Jesus. And from there, it just every day I got addicted to the manifest presence of God. And I like to share with you. I like to share with you all of the crazy stuff, man, that God has shown me. But anyways, I just wanted to share a little bit on intimacy. This is where it starts. It starts on being willing to sit down. It starts on being willing to go out of the box. It starts on being willing to follow Jesus. And you're so hungry inside that there's something stirring in you, and you can't put your finger on it. And it's not meant to put your finger on it. But it's following God, and it's getting into a place where God's wooing you and God's massaging your heart, and you're learning, He's romancing your heart, and you're learning that, and you're getting an intimate relationship, and from there it evolves, from there it enlarges. And in this season of my life, I had no work in my business. It was really slow. But I would say for 4 months, man, every day I met with God, and every day He showed me something. Every day He showed me something. And you know what? It wasn't meant for me to have work, because God needed to take me to a place where I could learn to hear His voice, where I could learn to get an intimate relationship with Him. And then it was from there where I took what He taught me in my home, okay, into my everyday living. But there's so much more that I want to share. There's so much more, oh man, when this first started, I used to meet with God at an altar. I had a wooden altar, and at the time, that's all I knew. But I'm so thankful that God, He comes and He meets us where we're at. And so I used to get down on my knees and pray at this wooden altar. And from there, it just evolved. And I want to share that story with you. I want to share it with you. It's going to bring you so much breakthrough and so much freedom. Praise God. But anyways, that's it for now. Please stay tuned. I want to share these stories with you because Jesus is talking to you. You are hearing Him. It's just learning to pick that up and to follow that. But anyways, I hope this encourages somebody out there. I really felt impressed this morning to share this with you, and I know and I believe it's going to bless you. Those who have an ear, if you have an ear, let those people hear. Okay? Jesus always says, those who have an ear, let them hear. Well, doesn't everybody have ears? Sure they do. But does everybody have spiritual ears? Thanks, folks. I love you, and God bless you.